What's the future of Recap look like?
What does the start of Recap look like? To bring a cinematic approach to business video, whether it's local businesses, big brands, whatever the case is.
Any business can benefit from video, but we want to expand into what kind of businesses that we can showcase. Content for the creators who don't know how to create.
Content for the creators who need guidance. Our goal is to build brands, to create content, and to sell stories. What we do is we tell stories. A lot of people out there have cameras, and we know a lot of people with cameras.
Yeah.
They have cameras, and they go out and they shoot, and
Right.
they basically create like a highlight reel. And then they have this highlight reel, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is so good. For the most part, it's not a lot of story behind when people are shooting anything, really. It's like there's no story to it. It's just, here's this highlight of what we do. But then if you go into like big brands, like you got Apple, you have Red Bull, Coca-Cola, these big brands, they tell a story every single time. Like every single time these big brands are making commercials or anything for social media, there's a story behind it. And I feel like it's like a lost art from the top all the way to like where we are at the more local scene. And I think that it's just because people don't know.
I think the creator world happened so fast that people dove into it thinking they could, oh, this is easy, I can do that. And then 6 months in, they're like, I'm burnt out, I can't do it, I ran out of ideas. This is way harder than I thought.
Right.
And in reality it's every shoot that we do is pre-planned, storyboarded, we have our shots in mind. We kind of have what we want to showcase first, and then we go in and execute. And we go into pre-production,
Yeah, 100%.
production,
Yeah.
post-production, and then
Right.
final product. But it's
Right.
always like, yeah,
There's no structure, right? They're not structured.
no
like-
structure.
I mean, before we even had our first video, we had a business structure.
Yeah.
Right? We knew kind of like, okay, this is what we want to target. This is what we want to do, and we were looking at it like it's artwork. Where other people could say, other people say like, oh, this is artwork, and it is.
Yeah.
But are they saying it's artwork because that's what makes the most sense for them to say, or are they saying it's artwork because they truly think it? And then you see their output, and the lighting is shoddy, or it looks like it came from an iPhone, and that's totally fine. It could come from any kind of phone if the camera is good. Not knocking, iPhone creators, but at the same time, there's not this essence of like professionalism, right? It's the nephew with the camera. That's what we always say. It's somebody had a nephew who understands social media because he's on Instagram, and now they have a really nice camera, and so now they're going to go out there and shoot the business owner, and they do it for 2 weeks until they get bored, and then or run out of ideas or can't copy the trend, and now all of a sudden that business went from 5 reels in 3 weeks to no reel for the past 3 months. The consistency is a big part of what we do and what we bring, right? I would say anybody at our level or higher, there's a level of consistency and professionalism to the approach of the overall business.
It's not always about the camera, right?
No.
It's not always about
No,
thousands
definitely
of dollars of equipment, and that I feel like some of the brands are part to blame on that because they come out with a new camera every like 3-4 months. And then the creator in their head, because these big brands work with other creators who showcase products, are getting sent free products,
Yep.
getting sent free stuff. And in their head, they're thinking, I need the latest camera. I'm not going to say any names or brands, but
No matter, yeah.
I need the latest camera because it does this. And my camera slightly doesn't do that.
Yep, slightly.
Slightly.
Slightly doesn't do that.
So it's like they spend all this money and then they're burnt out because all the money that they made, they used it on equipment. And instead, you could use your same camera and equipment and just be creative, or even more creative because you're saving some of your cash flow and continuing the grind. That way you don't feel burnt out on needing equipment, like needing the newest thing. I think
Yeah.
that's where a lot of people in this business can fall short.
Yeah. I mean, you could start the business with an iPhone and a decent lighting setup and a decent, microphone. And right there, you could start the business. But the professionalism, the consistency, you can go into the next camera and you can do everything with one lens right? You could do everything we do with one lens.
Yep.
It makes it easier to have multiple lenses. It makes it easier to have different cameras, but you don't need, you don't need to spend, you could start this business for less than $500. Easily, less than $500 you can start this. But now, most people are not looking at the big picture, right? They're looking at, I'm gonna get one client, and then they're gonna scavenge for another client, and then they're sending templates through DMs, and then they're reaching out to business owners, and then they're willing to work for free for a long period of time, or work for less money than they should be charging, right? So it comes to the point where they're working for $3.15 an hour just because they want to make content. It happens a lot. It happens a lot.
So how would you, from our structure, coach someone on how to start the business or where to start? Where would you go with that?
I would start how we started. We started very small, just making contacts, right? That's the first thing. Before you even start shooting anything, make your contacts. Figure out who you want to target. Now, do you want to target just local businesses, restaurants, pet groomers, whatever? You got to keep in mind one thing. You have this great idea for video. They don't even know they want video. Most of them don't want video until they see video. So I would structure it in a way where it's like I would come up with my hourly rate, right? And so I've always used the cone analogy. If you had to drive to a cone for 1 hour and you got paid to drive to that cone and you circled around that cone and drove an hour back, what would you want to be compensated for the 2 hours? Would you do it for $20? Would you do it for 50? Whatever the number is that you would do it for, that's a starting point, right? So I wouldn't do it for less than X. All right, well, X is your hourly rate then, because you're doing something you clearly don't want to do. At least now you get to do something you do want to do and get paid for it. But then you got to keep in mind the budget. The business owner's budget, they don't understand the value, right? So if we're at Dulce, right? And at Dulce, they are a bakery and cafe.
The Deuce experience is authentic, filled with care and love in every cup, on every plate. When you come to Deuce, you are family. From the person who comes in daily for café con leche with pan de bono, to the people who come to our hosted live events. Every memory made at Deuce is special. Deuce is not just a cafe bakery in Somerville, New Jersey. Deuce is an experience. Deuce is a family. Deuce is love.
They understand the value of what the content can do. And I think the first thing you have to do when you get that client, when you start up, you have to ask them, are you looking for sales or are you looking for brand building? Two different things. We're brand cinematographers. We're trying to build brands. Of course, we could do the sale video. But with Dulce, we came in and we were like, hey, listen, it's an awesome atmosphere. It's an awesome spot. Everything tastes amazing. So let's bring content in and let's do this high quality content. And what we do is we come in and you go in, and it sounds crazy, but you take an hour and you shoot for free. You just shoot for free. Come up with 2-3 clips out of that hour and then you send it to them. But you got to tell a story, right? So like your beginning, your middle, your end. As simple as putting coffee into a cup. That's a story, right? Get the cup, get the lid, make the coffee, pour it in, drink it. That's a story, right? Beginning, middle, end. So you have to have that 3-act structure. And I think that's, that will tell the difference between somebody who's going to do this for a couple of weeks, couple of months and quit, or somebody who's going to do this for long term. But if you don't know the business that you're selling to and you don't know their budget, then you don't know what to charge. And then if you don't know what to charge, you're probably going to undercharge. Most creative people undercharge. Most famous artists got famous when they were dead, and they died because they were broke and they didn't have money to sustain. So like, it doesn't stop. History doesn't stop repeating itself. People are making videos for free or little to no money. They burn out, they go and get a job, and then they can't even do this, and then they're gone in a year. So like, the way to start it is find your audience, shoot for an hour for free, deliver the videos, create a structure where whether it's a monthly retainer, I prefer the monthly retainers, or you can go in, here and there, but you're never having consistent money. At least with a monthly retainer, you have a signed contract that says, hey, I'm going to come in for the next 3, 6, 12 months, and you just work from there. And those videos, they got to be aces, and the delivery needs to be consistent, right? 2 a week, 1 a week, whatever it is. You have to deliver it to a point of precision. You can't miss, because then you're not trusted. So like that's kind of like the structure of how I would start again, even though we just started.
Yeah. I think also like a lot of the creators lack any kind of sales or business fundamentals. So they've never had, I guess, a job or any of those careers, or even in schooling and college where they needed these skills to further their business that they're great at, but they just lack that. So a lot of times, like you said, they're overworking, underpaid, and then they feel burnt out because they can't land these big deals.
Right.
But their content is fire, so it's like,
They're a great editor. They're a great cinematographer. They're a great editor, videographer, whatever you want to call it. And their sales sucks.
yeah,
And their sales is terrible. And they are not focused on how to convince, and it is convincing in the beginning. Convince people that content is important. You don't have to convince them on the sale, because that's what your free shoot should do. Hey, you need to do this. But they don't have sales skills. And the fact that you and I have 13 years each in sales, or at least some type of sale.
don't put an age on it.
Fact finding. I didn't put an age on us. I put an age on our skill set. That is important, because there's a hard sell, there's a soft sell, there's the question approach, there's so many pieces to actually selling that these creators are going out. We're going out as 2 with experience.
Right.
They're going out as 1 without experience. They're working at a gym as a personal trainer, or they're working at at ShopRite, as a stock guy. They're not interacting with somebody who is resistant, because that resistance is the first application of a customer. I don't want this, or they're curious. Good luck. But yeah, I think that the thing is that people want to get into the production, but they don't want to get into the business.
I think they also perceive it as easy.
Yeah, I could see that.
Or it's like, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Pick up a camera, right?
Yeah.
Record, and then what?
Yeah, right. And flip side, people don't understand the value.
Yeah.
Right? They don't understand the value of pick up the camera, get the business, make the video, get the music,
Yeah.
write the script. They're not even writing scripts. They're going in with a camera and they're looking around like, all right, let's go. We're not writing scripts by hand, but we're conversing so much about it that by the time we're in the place, we're brainwashed. We already know what we're doing. And I think that's a really a benefit we have to having a collaborative effort.
Yeah, I think doing all those things beforehand, and then being able to throw it all in the hat, so to say, and like combine it all together like a gumbo soup, it really made the business well structured right from the start. Like, we didn't just jump into it and buy thousands of dollars of equipment and then scratching our heads like, wait, we don't even have a client yet.
Yeah. I mean, that's the key. I mean, we have our small CRM, right, that we're building, and we're having these documented conversations between our text messages and what we're working on. I think at the end of the day, it's like, understand that like there's a business behind the art, and the art can't exist without income, and the income can't exist without good business structure. It can exist, but it'll topple over eventually.
Sure. I wanted to ask you this, actually.
Yeah.
So when we hop on these potential clients for personal brand, or they want to start a retainer with us creating their content, what is the likelihood of these people and the influence that we give them on the call, that you see them start posting stuff on their own.
How
How many times does that happen already?
Oh, too many. The infection of creativity will inspire somebody to go and make content on their own with their phone because they're talking to us and we're very passionate and eager about what we do and how we can help them, to the point where the next day you get off a call, you have this great discovery call, right? So like, maybe I'll go into that structure real quick. He has the very first contact most of the time. He has the very first contact with somebody, loosens them up, and then we get on a discovery call with the both of us, where I kind of pitch a vision with him, but he's making that first contact. And then the next day, that person will go and make like a reel. And then they won't make a reel for like another like 3 days. And then it looks like, oh wow, they made 3 reels. And then, 3-4 reels later, they're just stopped. And we haven't heard back from them because they're thinking, oh, well, I can do this on my own.
Yeah.
And that's another aspect to it, especially if you're on Instagram or YouTube or YouTube Shorts, whatever the case is. This level of consistency will translate whether we're the people who are making the video or they are, and they stop. You don't have to post every day, but you do have to have at least once a week. And there's no consistency when they go out and do it on their own. And then they get frustrated because they didn't get views, right? So like, why are you doing this? Are you doing this for views? If you're doing this for views, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. If you're doing it to build a brand and you're doing it to create substance and experience share behind what you do, well, now you've created something special. Way different than this week, $5 off of this thing. That video's dead in a week. That video's dead in 2 days. But if you have a reel that's going to be significant and it's going to tell you a story and then it's going to have trending audio, that's a whole nother subject. Now all of a sudden you go from the 500 views to maybe 1,000 views, but you get a client out of that because the brand is so powerful. Or you get hey, this is what Dulce looks like. Then they walk in, oh wow, this is the same look from the video. Oh, there's Belle, like from the video. Now you've created this this FOMO, and people actually want to come in or do whatever, buy the product.
Yeah, I think, absolutely. The influence is kind of crazy. Like, I can't even count on both hands and toes. Like, we hop on these calls and people just feel automatically influenced to just start something. And then that's where we come in, is we don't lack creativity. We storyboard. We can actually combine old films with new style, with what's trending, and create a mesh of basically what we have in mind to, I guess, put this unique vision or story or brand or whatever they're trying to portray out for their viewers. It just goes hand in hand, man. I mean, what we do is just very unique.
Yeah. I mean, we literally take all of that and we deliver a story. And I think, again, like, I'll hang my hat on, we're storytellers, right? I will always say that. If anybody said to me, and we've had this question, what makes you different than another business doing it? We're storytellers. We tell a story. Everything we do has a 3-act structure, right? We haven't ever posted anything that doesn't have a 3-act structure. It always has information through story, right? Like, I go back to Coca-Cola every single time. You don't ever see Coke in the commercial. You see polar bears, digital polar bears in an ice cap, looking around, walking around, and then drinking a Coke. You never actually see a can of Coke. Maybe like 20% of the time in a commercial you actually see the can. Or Red Bull. Red Bull, you never see it. It's just Red Bull gives you wings, and it's always a story. So people remember the story, and that's brand building, and that's what we do. We build the brand, opposed to this week's sale is blah.
Yeah. I think also too, like, if you think about it, that goes back to the digital marketing. They started doing that as soon as they were launching commercials, right? Like, how many years? 50, 60 years maybe they've been doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it never changes. It's just a different scene, a different form of artistry where it's, you know, digital or whatever the case, and it's the same thing, literally, like M&Ms too.
Yeah, M&M's is a great one too. You never see the M&Ms on the commercial. You see these little mascots running around, you know, finding out Santa Claus exists.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's what they do.
Yeah, exactly.
Skittles, Taste the Rainbow. Like, it's a rainbow commercial, and then they're raining Skittles. Like, that's cool. They're Skittles, but you know, it's just story. It's always about the story. Cereal commercials are really big with stories. Cereal commercials are tons of stories in cereal commercials. Coffee commercials too. I mean, the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. Like, right? Like, think about it. This is memorized, and it's always like the husband or the wife is making coffee, and then the smell goes to the husband or the wife upstairs, and then they come downstairs and they enjoy a cup of coffee together, and the kids come running in, and that's the commercial.
Yeah. And that's
It's a
it.
story. It's a story. This person cares about this other person, and they care so much that they're going to make them coffee in the morning. In and out. Everything revolves around story. And if you don't have story, you're not going to do this for a long time.
Or you can keep doing it, but this stuff will eventually get boring, unfortunately.
Boring, you're going to get burnt out.
Yeah.
It's like we have calls with people who are even doing this, and we're offering advice on retainer advice. That's the number one question we get. Like,
Yeah.
well, how do I figure out my retainer? And then we never hear back from people. Some people, we never hear back.
Yeah.
And it's like, you called us, we gave you advice, you never called back. We don't even know if they actually secured the retainer. The ask will come and we'll supply an answer, but then it's like, well, now what? Now you secured your retainer, let's just say. Now you're just gonna shoot highlights. People will get bored of highlights and they'll lose value, especially if they're down in views, right? Low view count, no client acquisition, you're not gonna be working for them for long. They're gonna say, I did this 6-month agreement, it's kind of a waste of money, right? Like every time we price somebody, we're like, we gotta make sure they're gonna make more money than they're spending on us.
Yeah.
That's the
Exactly.
key with all of what we're doing. They have to make more money than what they're spending with us. And then sometimes we have to go deeper into their business, and that's where we actually go and speak with the business owner and learn about their business once they're signed on retainer. We need to know about them. We need to know what this business means to them. We have to know if they have like a vision for the business, because then our job is to recap all that, pun intended, and capture the vision and then push it out.
Yeah.
It's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't we touch base a little bit on some of the business enhancement side that we're kind of offering out?
Yeah, sure.
Or let me say it again, that we're offering out.
We're offering business enhancement. Yeah, I mean, it starts with the coaching, right? A
Yeah.
lot of people, I'm really good at making cups. I know how to make the best cups in the world. My lids always fit. I'm gonna start a cup business. And then they go and start a cup business, and they get a couple sales, and they get excited. And now all of a sudden they have this cup business that's making money, and now all of a sudden they're in debt because they had to take a loan. And then they need to hire people, but they don't want to hire anybody, and they don't want to show anybody else how to make a cup. They don't want to stock up too much on inventory. Whatever. Those people are all over the place because they are the crafter, they are the creator, they are the distributor, they are the vendor, they are the salesperson. They're everything, and they're the accountant, they're the marketing team. They're burnt out. So what we offer is kind of like this ongoing advisory work, advising somebody on how to structure their business in a better way. And the upsell is the video at that point. So it's like, we'll teach you how to run a business better. Again, the experience that both of us share, I mean, high-level positions in companies, we've seen it. I've seen corporate, I've seen startup, I've seen small business, I've seen mid-business. So I've seen a lot of different things in the course of my career, to the point where we can easily see they need a better system, meaning like a CRM system. They need a better customer resource management software. They need to use their full POS system if they have a store, their point of sale system. They just need somebody to talk to. right? Like,
I think, yeah. Sometimes we see a lot of businesses who they don't have any of that at all that he just talked about, and then it's like, how did you even start a business?
Yeah. I got a notebook and I got Excel.
Like
And then you go into their Excel and it's not like
Or they're
Excel.
running off of Gmail.
Gmail, right. I'm running off a Gmail account. I got my notebook and they're running off of Excel. Meanwhile, like, there's no like, they just use Excel as like a point of data entry, but they're not running formulas that could be running their business. They're not optimized, they're not efficient. So we've seen this, and with our backgrounds, we just started offering it. And people are taking it. People are interested in what we have to say and how we can help. I mean, you have that whole aspect of business enhancement where it's like, listen, not only can we help you make video, we can help you become more efficient, and especially on the sales side, and how to like help people actually sell their thing.
Right.
You know, when you make a sale, like a discount, like a sale, when something's on sale and a discount, you can't lose money. Or you can't be, that's the reason people come, because then at that point, you can't sell at your normal price. You always have to be discounting. And then you're like Kohl's jewelry section where everything's always on sale because the markup is so high. Right? I mean, I don't feel like I'm wrong on that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think also they may lose money in the long run because of the lack of structure that they should have started from the very beginning, where they had this great idea, and it is a great idea, but you know, I guess it's like harvest time and so many apples fall off the tree, there's not enough people to collect them, and that's when they start stressing out. Okay, look, we lost X dollar this month. We're not getting that many customers. Like, what's going on?
Time value, right? Is your time, no business owner should be doing something that's worth less than their hourly rate. Right? A business owner should not be the person collecting the mail and looking at the mail. They are, though. And they are the person who's crafting the thing. And back to, they are in social media. If you're trying to do everything, you're going to do nothing. So they have to understand that at some point, there is a point where they have to hire somebody. And if they say my margins aren't there, then they have to restructure their sales and their pricing. So if a margin's not there for you to scale with help, you're just not going to scale. This is your life. This is what you're stuck with. Then you don't need us, right? Because you're not going to be able to make a video to show people how great your brand is, because you're not going to have the money to do it. Then you have to go get a loan just to make marketing videos. It could be a really vicious cycle, and I feel bad for people because they jump into a business thinking that it's going to be amazing because they're really good at building something. They're just not good at the business side. So that's why we help.
Or what if, okay, let's go back a sec. What if they're really good at the business but are scared to hop into, let's say, they're scared to do any type of digital marketing, newsletter, podcast, or some type of text email system into their business?
I mean, if they're scared, that means that they don't believe in the power of marketing, and they don't believe in the money that they have to spend to do it. You're not going to make more money unless you market, right? Like, again, it would be very hard to have a local deli where you can only service 2 blocks because you're not willing to drive a 3rd block and, you know, drop off 15 sandwiches at a business that you know has 200 employees. All you had to do was go to the 3rd block. You would have found the business that has 200 employees, dropped off a bunch of sample sandwiches. All of a sudden, they'll know that you're 3 blocks away and they'll take a walk to get lunch. That's the simplest way. If I owned a deli, I'd go to all the local businesses. I'd try to figure out how many people work there, and I'd drop off samplers. I'd drop off cards. I would drop off menus. I'd drop off phone numbers, whatever.
I think that's the best way.
Yeah.
Like, just as an example, if you own a business in food or whatever, that's obviously food expires.
Yeah.
If you have stuff before the expiration date, you know you're not going to get rid of, just
Do that.
give it away.
Give it
Hey, look, I'm down the street. I don't think
Exactly.
you've seen me before.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple that it's like it's funny that people don't even think about it. But they're not thinking about it because they're thinking about 10 billion other things. So it's not easy.
True.
It's not easy.
You want to get that?
No, it's not for me. So what else? Did I answer the question? I don't know if I answered it.
Yeah, it was the systems. Remember?
Yeah. No, I'm just making sure. Make sure I didn't miss anything.
Let's see. Do you want to touch base on the newsletter?
What do you mean? Like the digital
Yeah.
newsletter? I mean, I feel like this whole thing, I mean, we could, just a thought on camera as I'm talking, and it would take a little bit of work, but if we take the full show, like we have here, and we just run it to tape, we can pick out 5 good minutes and make that the newsletter. Say, go to the newsletter, 5 to 7 minutes, highlights of what we just talked about. Mm-hmm. This, that. For more, go watch the whole video. Mm-hmm. So now we're sending people to the YouTube channel. So like the newsletter is privated, so only people with the link can see it, which would be the people in the newsletter. And then they'd get 5 to 7 minutes of what we just did. And then for more, go to watch the whole video. And then they'll get, the snippet, but like make sure there's enough meat in there for them to actually have a takeaway. I think that's the important thing with the newsletter. Like they have to have a daily takeaway. What are they going to take away from it that they could apply right now? That to me is huge. Like if I give you information, just like the people we talk to about how to make a good video, right? If I give you information, you need to be so excited that with the information I've delivered, that you want to take action immediately. And I think that's the mark of a good product. I think it's the mark of a good salesperson is once I'm done talking to you and you're separated from me, you have time to think about it and you're ready to take action. Mm-hmm. So as far as the newsletter goes, I think 5 to 7 minutes or even 10 of what we just did, embed it in a newsletter, send it out to our subscribers, and that's the piece. And eventually we can have more like this is just for this. Instead of taking cuts, just this is just for the newsletter. And I think that, as far as our aim, I think if we aim the newsletter at people who are doing this style of business, I think that's what we do. I mean, the hard part is this is something that bothers me. And you could even keep this in here. One thing that bothers me is we have a organic approach to how we're trying to build the business, especially on Instagram. So you have 119 followers. Other companies, other people are spending so much money on marketing their business, and then they don't have a good business. So they get clients through their marketing and through their boosts and through their advertising. And then they have a really bad experience with the client. Now that client is like, I already work with people like you before. I'm not working with you because they had a bad experience with somebody else.
Or it could be that the following is not actual numbers, right? Like people look at that and assume right away, they have 20,000 followers.
They got to be good.
They got to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's so easy to just pay a monthly fee and then your followers just jump up.
Yeah. 20,000 followers, 22 likes, 1 comment. Probably not real.
Yeah.
Probably not real. And this is part of what we do to help other people. It's like we're not, again, we are brand builders. We can help you with sales and everything, but imagine going into a business I'm gonna increase your sales by 50% with my video. No, you're not. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen.
No.
So it's the approaches are different, but I think
it can only happen, I think, if they have a track record of paid ad experience where they could show you that.
But that video didn't do it. The paid ad did
Exactly.
The video kept them there, but the paid ad is what did it.
Right.
And you can make a lot of money off paid ads. But an organic video is not going to increase your business by 50%.
No.
It is going to build your brand, and it's going to make you more recognizable.
Good videos consistently for at least minimum 90
months,
months.
yes.
6
months.
Excuse me, 90 days.
Yeah.
6
90 months would be a great retainer.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's 6
6
months.
months. I guess easily you could definitely build a following and possibly more customers
Yeah.
or whatever it is. But once you stop off of that,
Yeah.
then also the customers could stop too.
That's exactly right. You know, one thing, I don't even want to talk about it now, but next time I think we should talk about, it's kind of like the discovery call and the post-discovery call. Maybe that's a good newsletter, right? Like the discovery call and the post-discovery. I think they're two different topics, but like what I always say, like when we write them, I'm going to write you what I heard you say.
Yeah.
And you're going to confirm that I heard correctly. So we're on the same page. And I think that's a whole episode in itself, is like what to do after the discovery call.
Yeah.
Because the discovery call is the easy part.
Yeah, because your pitch was great.
Yeah.
Um,
And they seemed excited,
but then they ghosted you.
and then they ghosted you. Or you go and say, all right, so this is what we talked about. And then they're like, I didn't say any of that. And it's like, what? Yes, you did. So it's like, I try to get the discovery email out within a couple hours after we get off the call.
Yeah.
I'm not good at taking notes. That's where he comes out. I'm terrible at taking notes because I'm in the moment. When I'm in the moment, I'm just remembering.
I think 24 hours is like it has to be within 24 hours.
Oh, I think it's gotta be same day.
Yeah, same day for
Same-
sure. But if time,
if something happens, you gotta do it the next day. But like I think the morning, 12 hours if anything. Like I just feel like if you don't get what you heard out back to them by the next morning at like 9:30 a.m., like you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get the sale. It's
or they may just take all your ideas and
right,
run them
exactly.
to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's what people could do. Like you're basically collecting notes and sending it to them.
Yeah.
Which, anybody can have a camera, anybody can have a vision. We can go and tell 10 people exactly how we do things. You're not going to get it out like us. And you're not going to tell the same story we tell because our imaginations are all different, right? And that's what it is. It's creativity and imagination. But, yeah, I don't think I have anything else on that.
I don't think anything else either. Yeah.
So we're good.
We're
This
good.
is the first episode. Bye.
See you later.